Good morning, everyone. I just got message that Christina's session has ended, so we can start ours. Welcome to this first session of the assembly, which is the Meet the Start Network hubs and hear about their journey. Today, we will have a panel discussion, which is going to be led by Sudhanshu Singh, who is a representative from the membership committee at Start Network, and incidentally also part of the leadership team of the India Hub. He will be in conversation with the Pakistan Hub and the Pacific Hub. For the Pakistan Hub, we have Ahmad from IDEA. We have Aisha from World Hunger Hilfa, and we also have Liaquat Ali from Doba Foundation. And from the Pacific, we have Emmeline Siale, who's representing Piango. The format of the session is going to be more of a discussion between the panelists. And if the audience would like to ask questions, we request that they put them in the chat, and we will have a little bit of time at the end for some of these questions to be answered. With that, over to you, Sudhanshu.
Sorry, Bhavya, I was on mute and I was speaking. Thank you very much, Bhavya, for introducing. So there are already a few questions submitted for this session. And how do you propose to go about those questions?
You can go around and ask the panelists the questions, Sudhanshu.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And in the meantime, while we are discussing, going through the questions and answers, if anyone has more questions to ask to the panel, please feel free to ask. So my first question is, since the World Humanitarian Summit, we have discussed numerous times about the localization process. But still, we experience that localization is interpreted differently by different people. It's very important to have a common understanding of the localization process. So what do you understand when we say localization? What does it exactly mean? Who would like to answer this? Ahmad?
Thank you, Sudhanshu. I would love to. Localization in the simplest form, I may say, to empower, strengthen and support local responder, including local organizations, local bodies, and communities to plan, design, respond, and lead it in a sustainable manner. So I use the word empower first and then strengthen and support. And you know it better. Thank you.
Anyone from else from Pakistan or Pacific would like to add to what Ahmad said? Before we go further, Bhavya, there is a message from Mike to reintroduce the panel. So could you please do that?
Sure. No problem at all. For those who joined late, we have a panel today that consists of Sudhanshu Singh, who's representing the membership committee of Start Network, and also incidentally is part of the leadership team of the India Hub. We have online this morning the Pacific Hub, represented by Emmeline Siale, who represents Piango, who's the exec director at Piango. And we have the Pakistan Hub, who's represented by Mohammad Ahmad, who's part of IDEA, who's also a member of the Start Network, and part of the Pakistan leadership team. We have Aisha, who's from World Hunger Hilfa in Pakistan, who's part of the leadership team of the Pakistan Hub, and we have Liaquat Ali, who's from the Doba Foundation, who's also part of the leadership team of the Pakistan Hub.
Thank you very much, Bhavya. Alicia, do you want to add anything to what Ahmad said?
No, actually, this is pretty much the definition we feel that we use all round for the Pakistan hub.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Amelia, how would you interpret from the Pacific context?
Thank you. Maybe I'll just quickly share what we have done in our region, where when we're talking about localizations, we are looking at it from a context of locally driven, from having the different defining the different roles that humanitarian actors from different perspective. So we had a Pacific convening different forums, and we were discussing what does it mean by localization to the context of the Pacific. So we had come up with a couple of priorities. One is leadership. Other one that we have to ensure that the partnership with different stakeholders, the participations of local actors, the coordinations and the complementarity of different actors, but given a key role, leading role by our local civil society on the context that they understand much more of our community, the level of capacity that has to be transferred to a local system, and at the same time also what's the level of funding that are really going to local actors in the humanitarian sector to drive some of those changes that we want to see. So in a nutshell, that we had come together and really define what does localization mean to us, because we understand that when we say localization, just like your questions put forward, what do we mean by localizations? Thank you.
Thank you. Very, very interesting answer. And since I'm also part of the panel, let me also share how do I interpret. I really, I very much agree with what has already been said. Additionally, what I want to say is that, see, disaster response is not a new concept, no, because disasters haven't started happening in the last 30, 40, 50 years. It has been happening, they have been happening for a millennium. And it was always the community to react to disasters whenever they faced it. But if we see the evolution in the last few decades, the local response mechanism has been undermined because of the strong emergence of international actors, national as well as international actors. That process has to be reversed, and that is, according to me, is the real localization process. No single actor has, however big you are, may not have the comprehensive response capacity to address, to manage a disaster response. Together, if we come, we can manage, we can make a response comprehensive. And for me, a real localization means identifying the roles of every stakeholders and facilitating them to discharge that whosoever is best at. This is what this is how I interpret localization. And local actors, they are good in terms of reacting quickly, keeping the response efficient, relevant to the needs, and also taking it to the to a nexus approach. And international actors and others need to identify the complementary role, and they need to extend support accordingly. So it's not only about funding, but also coordination and decision-making platforms where every single holder needs to find a place and also feel confident to articulate voice and make a difference there. With that, Ahmad, would you like to add anything, or we move to the next decision point? Ahmad, Alicia.
Yeah, if you move, so because we have short time, so it's a long, lengthy discussion.
Of course, it is. So after sharing our views, how do we interpret localization? Now, in all these three countries, we are coming up with hubs. Do you think that the hub can accelerate, can influence the localization process positively? And if yes, in your opinion, how hubs can play a facilitative role in the process of localization? Ahmed, you want to go first, or Emilia?
If someone other want to have, so I'll be second then.
Okay, Aisha?
I know Ahmad has been engaged in this a lot longer than I have been, but from my own understanding, I think we are talking about a new humanitarian ecosystem, especially in the context of Pakistan. And we feel that here for Pakistan, the hub is the most appropriate solution, especially taking the localization agenda forward. In terms of how, I think for us, I think the how is about engaging more local partners, as well as making sure that we have the communities and local authorities as engaged as possible in everything that we are doing.
So, why do you think that this was not happening before, and why do we need a hub to facilitate that process?
I mean, if you're talking about Pakistan specifically, you have to understand the dynamics of the country. You have OCHA winding out, so you don't have a coordination mechanism. Then you're talking about a country that has seen repeated disasters and various kind of disasters. You're talking about man-made to natural disasters. And then you look at all the various kind of consortiums or various other initiatives that have been run in the country in the past, but they have been all very project focused and very funding based. Right now, when we're talking about a solution based in the context of the hub, we're talking about a change in the mindset, which should be there in the longer run, irrelevant of the fact of how much funding we have or how much actually projects are running from this initiative.
So, from your perspective, Emilia, in Pacific, what do you think? How this hub can impact the localization process in your context?
Thank you. I probably like to respond to your questions that you asked earlier in terms of, you know, why now? How different that we see doing you know, working in the hub development compared to what has been the response in the humanitarian sector in our Pacific region before. And I think that has related to your previous sharing, that this is nothing new. That we have always been, particularly in the Pacific, we have cycloned year in, year out. But what we have seen that the resilience of our region in terms of our own local system has been kind of taken over by the donor funding that is made available to international NGOs to play much of a role in terms of responding to disaster. And that has really built a sense of you know, support coming through, given to international NGOs. They come in, they do what they do, and then they fly out the next day. And then our local civil society pick up the pieces because they are not going anywhere. This is their home. And so that has been trigger a lot of conversation that has come up to where we are now with exploring what the hub can do differently. And this is around the impact or the center of humanitarian support is responding to those that are the affected. And so the whole idea of what we are creating in the hub is to make the response to our community as the center of what we do. And by doing so, explore how we can not just coming in to provide solutions, because the solutions may be within our community, and how can we bring those community and local actors to go design something that can explore finding solutions for themselves. And this is where the hub comes in, a platform where we can bring all different actors together, bring our communities as well, to go create what it may be a self-defined ownership of what will become the solutions to test out as we grow in developing of the hub. And that could be the new mindset that we would like to bring, that it's no longer just a decision made by a few people outside of the community, but make the community be part of that process. Thank you.
Thank you, Amelia. One follow-up question to you. See, we know from our experience that it's very, very difficult to challenge and change the power structure. So what I understood from you, that international actors arrive if there is a disaster, and then they leave, they take over when they are present, and then they leave, making it more challenging for local actors, because when international actors were there, they were perhaps marginalized, and then they had to come back to complete the unfinished task without having enough resources and perhaps a system to support that. And you also said that hubs are going to change that system. What gives you confidence, and what will be the, because these reform processes are not new. We have seen several reform processes in the past also. What gives you confidence that hubs are better positioned to do something which we couldn't do through other processes in the past? And now, before you reply to this question, if you could turn on your video and briefly introduce yourself and then go to the answer, that would be good. And I'm turning on my video right now.
Thank you. I will turn my video on, but my connection is not too well. So
Yes,
I'll just turn on my video and then quickly introduce myself, and then I'll probably turn it off before I'm cut off.
Yes.
So yes. I'm Emeline Selilolahia. I'm Tongan, but I work here in Fiji, which is where Piango is situated. Piango is a network of umbrella NGOs in 24 countries and territories in our region. So right now we are the host of the Pacific Region Hub. And so a lot of the conversation that we are contributing is coming from our experience working with our members in those 24 countries and territories, but very much from a coordination role. And this is where this platform of working in a kind of a convening of a hub provide a lot of opportunities for us to relook at the different roles that our humanitarian actors played, both at the international level, both at the local level, at the national level, all the way down to our communities. And so that's a quick introduction. I'm sorry, I will have to turn off my video and continue to respond to the questions. So as we have discussed in terms of you know, how do we see the evolvement of our hub in terms of trying to find solutions with a locally led civil society, humanitarian actors, putting our community at the center of all of this. And I think this is the beauty, and your question is correct, because any change that we want to see would mean that there will be a power shift from the old system to the new system, and it can only happen if those that are or currently hold the power are willing to let go of those power and share those power with the local. And this is where the beauty of this work with the START network, because we are on the assumption that the START network, which a lot of their current members are international agencies, when they decided that they had to decentralize some of those powers to the setup of the hub, we are on the assumption that everyone is on the same page. Yeah, understanding that the change has to happen. The change needs to shift the power from the start to be centralized to decentralized to the hub, giving them the opportunity to convene and find, go create what the hub may look like. And the beauty of this is that we often don't really know or don't really understand whether we're going to the right direction, but it's a co-creating by so many different players, and defining what the different roles and what they would need to contribute to this process and build the ownership.
Thank you, Emmeline. Ahmed, would you agree that it is easier said than done? Means these are really very good words. We feel very good about decentralization and empowerment, etc., etc. But do you feel very confident that it's going to just happen if we sit across all of us, local, national, international, and those who control the power will readily start sharing and distributing with local actors? How would you react? And if you can also turn on your video for a few seconds, reintroduce yourself, and then if you could share your views on this.
Thank you, Sudhanshu. This is Muhammad Ahmad. I'm Executive Director of IDEA Organization, member of the National Steering Committee of START in Pakistan, and chairperson of National Humanitarian Network in Pakistan. Now, coming to your question. Unfortunately not. It's not an easy task. So far, after WHS, we feel that there is realization, and philosophically, there is an agreement on localization, but how to operationalize the localization is still a key to the change system. And what you asked earlier, that hub. So hub is the vehicle for that change. Though philosophically we have now an agreement, at least to some extent, on localization and to change the system, but it is not an easy task, because there are pro-status quo powers versus the change makers. And the change makers are not that much powerful as the power of the status quo. So definitely the interest of the powerful entities are very much linked with the status quo. And they will resist inside and outside the network. And I'm talking of the whole system, whole humanitarian system. So whosoever is the beneficiary of the current system, they will try their best for the status quo. And whosoever want to change the system, they will try. And this is a struggle we will face in the near future as well, for at least a decade. And then either we will fail or they will fail. So it's not an easy task. Change process is always difficult. Letting power go is another very difficult task for individual, for organization, and for groups. So we need to take those challenges into account and gather our resources in terms of the change makers, in terms of the innovators' creation, ideas, system. We need to present a viable system to the world.
Thank you, Ahmad.
So that will be the answer, and that may help us
Thank you.
to get there through. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sudhanshu, if you allow me to just jump in, I am Liaquat Ali, though I was not registered as a panelist, but the thing that has been arised is very closer to us.
Okay, Liaquat, could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I am Liaquat Ali, National Steering Committee member in Pakistan Hub. And though I was not listed as a panelist, I was on general seat, but as Bhavya introduced, so I feel my responsibility also. Sudhanshu, in fact, we feel that correct knowledge and correct informations are a very big power. And this network has the potential to communicate properly all the layers and all the tiers, those who are involved in it, about its way of working, their role and responsibilities, and other information who affect the decisions. So this will support us for our own capacity building. And once capacity building based on knowledge is done, then really we think that it will faster to change the power or to empower the localization process also. And because this is a network, and we hope that that this will do its objectives, because we feel that if all the members of this network do their jobs, do their duties, and realize that it is their duty to support the civil society as a sector, as its space is shrinking, not only some countries but in all over the world. So with this, though these are the emotional things, but without this, it will be really difficult to materialize what START has visualized. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Liaquat, for these additional points. Before we move to the next discussion point, let me also give my views on this. I am very much in agreement with what has already been said by my colleagues from Pakistan and Pacific. And I feel that now we constantly live in two worlds, real world and virtual world. And when we are in this virtual world like we are now, we are really very noble in thinking. And we talk everything what actually ought to be done on ground. But when we come out, as soon as we finish this discussion, when we go in the real world, then that's really very harsh. And then we see a lot of gaps between what we discuss and what we do. There we again started doing, undoing what we had just talked for very practical reasons. And the practical reason is that competition for funding, competition to have hegemony over decision making and coordination platform, competition to have more visibility in media space, and these are a few factors which are perhaps required but have become primary at times, and which become a barrier in whatever good discussion we carry. We just held a few, we keep organizing through our discussion platforms. And perhaps we need to think, how do we, means whenever I speak to our international colleagues, and some of them accept it very honestly, that the fear among some international actors is that real localization means losing power. And during this discussion also, we keep hearing about decentralization of power, etc., etc. And I think we as local actors need to challenge this very term of decentralization of power, Decentralization of power means the power lies somewhere in the north, which they have to be very kind enough to hand over to us. And I think that's a very flawed. We also, as local actors, also need to to have a rethinking whether power is within us, with the community, or somewhere in the north. Perhaps it is with us, but we are not realizing that. So we need not have decentralization of power, but appropriation of power, giving us space to do what we are supposed to do in the interest of affected population and a real localization. What I very strongly believe, no one is going to lose. It is going to be a win-win situation if we only just focus on complementarity and the specific role each stakeholder has to play in this. With that, Aisha, we had a discussion that the impact hubs can make over this localization process to address some of the barriers which other frameworks could not address. Now, since hubs are being formed in the three countries we are right now in part of the panel discussion, what are your priorities in next 6 months to work on these, to address these barriers, to fast track some of the solutions? Over to you, Aisha, and if you can also turn on your video, reintroduce yourself, and then if you can answer this.
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Aisha and I'm working with Weltanga Hilfa in Pakistan. I'm sitting with other colleagues and some mask, which I'm sorry I cannot take off immediately. So in terms of your question, Siddhanshu, I think when you're talking about what the hubs can particularly, or what the next steps for the hubs are going to be in particular, I would like Ahmad and Saeed to add in as well. I know Saeed has also joined us from the Pakistan hub. But I think our first priority is to make sure that the induction of local partners or local organizations takes place at a faster pace than it is at the moment. And then apart from that, what we are trying to do is reach out to the communities, make sure that we have participation at all levels from the communities as well as other local actors. And then what we're trying is to make sure that there is buy-in from all stakeholders. So that is also one of the key steps at the moment that we're taking. So it's a process. We have to run through the complete cycle to make sure that everything is sustainable in the long run. And I think the first key steps to that is making sure that we have more local voices so that they can be heard. And there is a force that can be reckoned to. And then also engagement of stakeholders. Ahmad Saab, do you want to add in anything?
Before we go to Ahmad, Aisha, you mentioned a couple of times, and that's very interesting, the engagement of community. And I think that's very unique thing coming from Pakistan. So could you please elaborate, how are you engaging community in the hub development process?
So currently what we are doing is we are trying to induct organizations that are of a smaller scale. I mean, obviously we have new local partners that have been engaged. And the reason I was referring this to Ahmad is because he's leading this process for us in terms of the kind of partners that we are going to be adding in the Start Hub. Our own vision is that we make sure that we start with organizations that are more community-based, and then we get them on board so that the community buy-in starts coming in. Okay. So we're talking about CSOs along with local organizations. CSOs are basically organizations that are very community-centric. Ahmad Saab?
Yeah. So it's a two-pronged approach. One is like national local organization, and one is like we have community-based disaster risk management committees formed by the organization and by the local government. So we will be cascading it, and we will be involving communities directly in the operations and in the decision-making process as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ahmed. Emmeline, if I can go to you, and if you can give some very concrete, if you can mention some very concrete actions which the Pacific Hub is going to take in next 6 months to fast track the localization process.
Thank you. Today we had been working with one of our members here in Fiji, where we convene a discussions where we bring all the government, the lead agency in government in Fiji. We bring in the UN agencies that are working on humanitarian, and we bring in all the other civil society, churches, and other local actors. And what we had started the conversation around is looking at a humanitarian value-based guidelines that can assist us in terms of collecting the kind of information that we need. Um, we are now also looking at a directory of all the civil society contexts, all the local civil society that are working at district level, in all the civil society organizations, in community-based that has a contact in each of our community that's become a communication cycle in terms of getting data across. So that's one thing that we are looking at. How can we set up a structure within all of the communities that can start feeding in the data that we need to inform us in terms of building our or strengthening our response in terms of information sharing. The other one that we are looking at is also guidelines, looking at tools, looking at different resources that can allow us to gauge where things are in terms of information. Where are the expertise that are available to us in terms of responding? Yeah, not just expertise in terms of writing report or analyzing things, but also experts inside our own community, our young people, for example. What are the level of skill sets that some of our young people, which currently we are looking at our young people, it's just like a manpower in terms of responding, running around, making sure that your house are in order, elderly people and all of that. But how else can you support them in terms of their skill sets? The other one that we are also looking at, what are the mechanisms of funding that is made available from the hub? Either it can come through the START network, or it can be resourced from elsewhere within the different mechanisms that is available to us in the region, but make sure that the hub can become a convening mechanisms of supporting, channeling out of financial support to some of our community, so that their response is much more of a rapid nature. But also at the same time, we also recognize that there are times when the government is not often declare emergency in every emergency, that in every disaster that we have. But there are some of our communities that are having disaster, just like heavy rains or flooding, that doesn't necessarily declare a national disaster.
Okay.
How do we deal with that? Thank you.
Thank you. Bhavya, I think we have only 17 minutes left. Is that right?
That's
Bhavya?
right. We have about 17 minutes left.
Sudhanshu, just 1 minute. In
Can
Pakistan,
you be very brief, because we still have
yes, brief. It will be. Sudhanshu, in Pakistan, in National Steering Committee, we have 2 additional seats. One is for national organization and one is for very local organization.
Okay.
Local mean just they are working just in one village or 2 village or one union council. And there are 2 networks. One is National Humanitarian Network. Mr. Ahmad is representing that network. And the other is Indus Consortium. And I am representing Indus Consortium. It's almost 50 plus organization, and mostly are very local. So when you were talking about community, so in community, there are organized groups, particularly very local organizations. And in National Steering Committee, we have created 2 seats, and they are from the very beginning. And other is the technical working groups. So many organizations who are only 2, 3, 4, 5 staffs and for one village, they are part of our technical working group. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And in the interest of time, now I will invite only one.
Sudhanshu, I can just see that Syed has got his hand up, so I don't know if you want to go to him quickly.
Okay, sorry, I missed that. Syed Suleiman. Okay, can you please be very brief? Do you have a question or some comments? Syed Suleiman?
Yes.
Syed, I think your network is very is not proper right now. So if you can type your question or comment, and that will I will request Bhavya to read that out. Is that okay?
No, I'm just adding what my colleagues added about the. Do you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. Actually, I'm adding what my colleague from Start Pakistan Hub, they added that we are actually for coming 6 months, we are mainstreaming most of the.
You are from? You are from?
Activities. Like colleagues said that I'm from Pakistan.
Okay. Okay. Can you be really very quick, because we have to cover a few questions more. Please be very quick.
Yeah. So we are actually mainstreaming all the hub activities that to engage more stakeholders from the ground grassroots. Like we are going to hand over slowly the chairing of the technical working group to the local organization. So now we are going to appoint them as a co-chair, and slowly we'll also hand over to them the chairing of the technical working group in Pakistan. So it's mainstreaming the hub objectives and activities, how to meet the objectives of our hubs. In addition, like we are also looking for the in near future, the registration of the hubs in Pakistan. However, it is not an easy job. That's all from my side.
Thank you very much. Good point, Syed. And before we move to the next point, let me give also a summary from India very quickly. That India, we are focusing on 3 pillars of the hub, which is knowledge and innovation, the first one, and localization, and third is financing. I am a little less optimistic than my colleagues from Pakistan and Pacific because of the immense barrier we face. And when we talk about shrinking space, we often think that it's the government shrinking our space, but I think we also need to struggle for internal space. We are denied a lot of space by big agencies within our own countries, and that's the first thing. While also discussing with our governments, we also need to discuss about our internal space, because many local organizations do not feel very confident to talk about their issues. They fear losing. They fear hostility from big agencies. So I think so these are the challenges we are facing in our country, India, and we are trying to work on these 3 pillars I just talked about. Now I move very quickly, and this time I will invite, in the interest of time, only one person from Pakistan to answer, and you can decide who will answer this. Before we started the hub process, there were already 42 odd members of Start Network, and most of them were international organizations. Many of them are present in our respective countries as well. Do you find them very supportive to this process, or not enough? And what would be your expectation from them in order to facilitate the national hub development process? So before the Pakistan team decides who is going to answer, can I go to Emmeline to answer this? And if you could be really brief. Emmeline? Are you there? You are on mute if you are speaking. Okay, can I go to the Pakistan hub? Emmeline is on.
Sudhanshu.
Yeah.
Since Siale is, can I go jump in, because I'm still here for the Pacific?
Okay. Yes. Please go ahead.
I think as for Piango's engagement in with our Start Hub, it has just been very recent in comparison with our colleagues who are from Asia, like yourself, and our colleagues from Pakistan and Bangladesh and Guatemala. Piango has just been engaged with Start Network from November of last year. It's going to be our first anniversary next month, when we attended the All Hubs meeting in Thailand, and where I had the pleasure of meeting you, Ahmed, and the rest of our colleagues. Now, in order to be able to answer your questions, just very quickly, we think we have so far found the Start network to be quite accommodating to the needs of the Pacific Hub and facilitating. And this has been my experience as the chair of the global of the governance design working group, where I had to present a draft report to the Start Network board. And in this time, I had the opportunity to be able to work very closely as chairperson of the governance design working group with three board of trustees of Start Network, and I found them to be very accommodating. In fact, my opinion of the Start membership currently is that the Start membership is trying to really walk the talk on localization and trying to really give power to the local actors, organizations like yours and ours, to really take charge and bring Start to the grassroots level. Thank you.
Thank you. So I now invite someone from Pakistan, and please decide who will about the role of
Sudhanshu, I'm sorry to jump in, but I think we're running out of time, and some people, I'm conscious, may want to go to the next Learn session, which is just starting now. So I don't know if perhaps we could ask people to do a kind of, very quick 2 or 3 word wrap up if there's anything to say.
Let me finish this question, and then we will go for wrap up, because this is very important, that expectation from international members and Pakistan's perspective, and then we'll go to wrap up. So someone from Pakistan, if you can, before you go, if you can also talk about how sensitive you are of gender mainstreaming also, if you can answer that also.
Thank you. I wrote that answer because more than half of the National Steering Committee are consist of our woman-led organization in Pakistan. Coming back to your question, when the journey started, we have only few international organizations with us agreed on the localization path when we started in 2017. Somehow, most of the rest, they have reservation on their role in the new humanitarian system, especially the country offices or the international organization. If the power and the resources will go to the local and national organizations, so the model was not clear to them. Now, as we worked, we created a dialogue. We have a dialogue among ourselves, and now we have a design for future. So now we can see clearly the interest of the member organization in Pakistan, and now they are supportive to a great extent. Our message to the international member is to please realize the need of the change, be part of this collective struggle, accept the responsibility of the change system. Otherwise, the change system will force you to do that. So now there is no turning back now. So the sooner the better. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ahmad. And before we start wrapping up, let me give perspective from India also. See, in India, we have most of these international members present, and they can really play a very, very good facilitative role to this localized process, which is unfortunately is not happening to the desired scale as of now for obvious reasons, and which is funding and coordination platform. and it's very, very difficult to give up control on all of these. So this is why I think in the coming months and years, what we need to continue means there's an immense amount of goodwill towards this localization process. We need to just get it translated to the country level. So a very negotiation and advocacy are going to be the key to get to get it happened in the I think that's the way out for us, and we'll continue working on that. It's difficult as of now in India, but not impossible. It's a very, very good environment to context to for the localization process to realize, and we are constantly working on that. Now if I could invite Akmal or Emmeline to wrap up by also saying where would you like to see the hub in next 3 years time? If you can give your concluding remark with that. Akmal or Emmeline?
Okay. I think Shali is having some connectivity issues, but in terms of the hub, thank you very much, Sudhanshu. The hub really truly saving on the agenda that's been decided by the local people, and truly realizing all the aspirations of localization. That is ideal. And as we have proposed to the START network on the governance design, which we, in fact, if not 3 years, then by 2024 or 2025, to fully having achieved and being part of this milestone of work, which is localization, and truly bringing it in the spirit of START network and being part of this journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Akmal. And since Ahmad responded before, could I invite Suleiman or Aisha to wrap up?
I'm so sorry, Sudhanshu. Actually, I think people need to go to the next session. So I think we are being forced to wrap this session up, unfortunately. But thank you so much for such a interesting conversation and discussion this morning. There's going to be a similar session tomorrow with the DRC and Guatemala hub as well. And there's also other sessions that we would like to sort of point people to, if they could go into the Excel event calendar. You will see all the other events that are happening today. And we have sort of clocked a lot of the questions from the chat as well, and we'll try and find ways in which we can feed some information through. And I would also like to take this opportunity to point people towards the booths and the Learn Corners, where there is a lot of information available in answering some of the questions that have come through as well about who the hubs are, what some of the journeys have been to date, and if there are other questions, you can feel free to write into the chat on the booths as well, and we'll be manning some of those questions, so we'll make sure we are able to get back to you. But thank you so much for joining this session today, and special thanks to you, Sudhanshu, for moderating this very invigorating discussion this morning. And I'm sure we'd love to carry on, but we have to unfortunately wrap up.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bhavya, and I thank everyone in the panel and everyone part of this discussion and listening to us. Thank you very much.
And thank you, panelists, like Sudhanshu said. And please enjoy the rest of the assembly for the rest of the week. There's lots of interesting conversations.